Welcome back to the channel, everyone. I have traded the red dunes of the Kalahari for the white dunes of the west coast. This is the place where the verloren vlei enters the Atlantic Ocean, where the Elandsbaai behind me dips its feet into the water. This is the crayfish capital of South Africa and a popular surfing location. Yes, this is Elandsbaai. Let's go and explore. To give you some perspective, there's Cape Town. Elandsbaai is over there. Yes, welcome in Elandsbaai. What a beautiful day. Birds chirping, beautiful blue skies. Elandsbaai part of a Cederberg municipality. And as that fishing boat suggests, yep, this is ocean country. The crayfish capital of South Africa. There you go, Elandsbaai, written there. Welkom in ons Weskusdorp. This is West Coast country in South Africa. You've got Veldrif as well in this direction. And then you have Lambert's Bay and Pakketberg over there. Klaasy, hallo julle. Hoe gaan het? Ek maak so YouTube. Klaasy, wat is jou naam?
Ek is Samuel.
Samuel, ek is Willie, aangenaam man. Klaasy, jy's van Elandsbaai?
Ek is van Elandsbaai.
Lekker plek.
Baie lekker plek.
Klaasy, wat maak julle hier so? Julle vang kreef, julle surf?
Ons van kreef, ons surf, ons doen alles.
Doen alles, daar sê. Dankie my ou maat. Dis jou bootjie hier so, né? Daar sê, kyk nou hoe mooi is dit. Dis die naam, Boetaras. Baie nice. Wie maak hom skoon? Gaan julle see toe. Yes, so I traded the red sand of the Kalahari for the white sand of the west coast. And a beautiful Atlantic Ocean. This is a quintessential West Coast scene. The water, the rocks, the shells here on the beach, majestic scenes. What more could you ask for? Many people have built themselves some holiday homes here on the West Coast, in places like Elandsbaai, and why not? Imagine waking up to this every morning. Yes, a beautiful low tide morning here in Elandsbaai. Check out all the kelp as well on the beach here. Low tide, and is that a fishing net? People trying to catch some crayfish and some birds looking for some food as well. Looking for some fish. Oh, check that out. That is a crayfish. That spilled out, I presume. This is not a very nice sight. Look at all these crayfish shells on the beach. If you think this is bad, in 2022 there was a massive red tide in this part of the world where 500 tons of crayfish ended up on the beach. This is a common scene here in this part of the world, seeing crayfish like this. Maybe not at the scale I just mentioned, the tragedy in 2022. But the bottom line is, this is crayfish country. I've stumbled across the remains of an old house here in Elandsbaai at verloren vlei. There's the vlei. The literal translation is lost lake or lost marsh. Verloren vlei. And just look at the beautiful scene there, the koppie. Can you imagine the stories that this house could tell if it could speak? I'm glad that they kept the remains here. A reminder of the past here in Elandsbaai, in verloren vlei. You can get an idea of the various building styles here and over there as well. Let's look at the rock pattern there, stone pattern. And you can hear a lot of birds because there are lots of bird species here that make verloren vlei their home. Yeah, until a few years ago there was no tarred road where I'm standing now. This would have been gravel, but more and more people will now use this to get to Elandsbaai. I'd say this road undoubtedly helps bringing more people to the area. In the past, people from Cape Town most likely would have had to take the N7 to drive here, but today in 2024 you can take this West Coast road, Weskuspad. Elandsbaai, situated at the Atlantic Ocean, but yes, this is also farming country. Look at that, the tractor with a little love sign over there as well. We love our farmers. There are loads of potato farms in this part of the world. The juxtaposition with the ocean is something to behold. It's quite unique. That is the Bobbejansberg. The literal translation is Baboon Mountain. And this is also where the Sishen-Saldanha railway line goes through a mountain. So they had to have some sort of engineering solution over there. This railway line, iconic in South Africa. And of course, we were in the Northern Cape. I showed you the Katu Country Club near Sishen, which is where this line starts, and it goes all the way to Saldanha and through the mountain here in Elandsbaai. Elandsbaai, a little over 200 kilometers away from Cape Town, or about 2.5 hours drive. And the population, the latest population figures I could find was for 2011, and there were 1,525 people here. Let's talk about the name Elandsbaai. The eland is of course the eland, the big antelope, and it was somewhat of a spiritual creature for the original inhabitants of this area. In fact, in the caves of Bobbejansberg over there, Baboon Mountain, you will find some rock paintings where the eland is featured. The sun rock paintings. Yes, it's holiday season, so the lifeguards on duty. Elandsbaai, of course, a prime surfing spot here in South Africa, with left breaking waves, just like you get in Jeffreys Bay or J Bay. And in fact, the locals here call Elandsbaai eBay. And yes, I'm not talking about a website, I'm talking about the waves here. Asai, and I met some friendly locals here. Hallo julle.
Ja, hallo Elandsbaai.
Is julle van Elandsbaai?
Yes, almal broodjie.
Asai, en wat sit julle hierso? Klomp wetsuits.
Wetsuits, ons gaan nou wat surf.
Is julle surfers?
Ja, uncle.
Asai, sê net vir my, hoe is dit om in Elandsbaai te bly?
Baie waves is baie lekker.
Asai, and yeah, just to show you, this is a wetsuits that people here wear along the west coast if they want to go for a surf. Yes, maar julle het baie, né?
Baie uncle.
Asai. It's a good one, and it's nice and colourful as well. Asai, kan julle vir my bietjie binne wys daarso? Asai.
You can come in and see.
Can I come in and see? Oh, thank you very much. Asai julle. Asai, lekker man. And the surfboards, very nice. Asai julle. That is, you go take that to the ocean. Asai, okay julle. Dankie hoor. Bless those guys, they said they've been to Jeffreys Bay. They don't need to go there because they've got everything they need here in Elandsbaai. In eBay with the beautiful waves and the Bobbejansberg dipping its toe in the water there. Just look at this magnificent stretch of white beach here. This is South Africa at its best. Now this is medicine for the soul, don't you think? Walking here along this beach, the Atlantic Ocean greeting us on this side. Before the crayfish boom here in Elandsbaai, there were limited job opportunities. Many people moved away from the area in search of a better life. In the 1930s, many young people moved to nearby Lambert's Bay. Lambert's Bay had some job opportunities as it had a natural harbour from which larger fishing boats could sail. There were also 2 fish factories based in Lambert's Bay, FCO or Fishing Company and LBCC, Lambert's Bay Canning Company. The young people who found work in Lambert's Bay, they walked here from Elands Bay all the way to Lambert's Bay along the coast. It's about 15 kilometers. On Sunday evenings they would walk to Lambert's Bay, and Friday afternoons they would return here. Among them were 2 young men who would later settle in Lambert's Bay and become skippers on fishing boats. One was the eldest grandson of a Scotsman, John Henderson Hunter, namely Ojan Hunter and Arend de Beer. Can you imagine what those young men talked about when they walked this stretch of beach to Lambert's Bay and back to Elandsbaai? Yes, it would have been a difficult walk, especially during high tide. During low tide, you've got the benefit of the sand being relatively hard. I know there was a water well at Hardship, which is roughly halfway between Elandsbaai and Lambert's Bay, and a lot of the men would stop there on Friday evenings and they would only return to Elandsbaai on Saturday afternoons. So you can imagine the parties and the stories. And why not? Because with a view like this, I certainly would stop for a little bit as well. The great irony of those young men moving to Lambert's Bay for work was that there was always more crayfish here in Elandsbaai. However, Elandsbaai has never had a harbour in its existence. Elandsbaai never had a harbour. Even today, it hasn't got a harbour. The government did investigate the possibility of Elandsbaai getting a harbour in the 1940s, but it never came to fruition. The cost-benefit analysis showed that it was simply too expensive. Building a breakwater here in Elandsbaai would be a massive financial undertaking. But then of course you had the crayfish boom in the 1950s and the 1960s. During the crayfish boom, some private companies invested here in Elandsbaai. You had LBCC, or Lambert's Bay Canning Company. You had the Sierra Fisheries based in Paternoster. You had Marine Products based in Laiplek, and two local companies started by Elandsbaai locals. You had Engelbrecht Trading Company, founded by Willie Engelbrecht, and Elandia Fisheries, started by three van der Westhuizen brothers. As the crayfish boom took off, there was of course a need for a hotel in Elandsbaai, a place to socialize, a place for people to come and stay over. And in the 1960s, the Elandsbaai Hotel was built by Willie Engelbrecht with the help of Carusini from Veldrift, and this was completed in 1965. Willie Engelbrecht, mind you, is known as the father of Elandsbaai. He's a very significant figure in this part of the world. I've heard about the dances here in Elandsbaai in the 1960s all the way through to the 1980s. They were originally held in Willie Engelbrecht's shed and then later on in the hotel. And New Year celebrations dates back to the 1800s. People, after a long year at sea, they would take some time out and they would have strongman competitions trying to impress the girls. Lots of dances through the nights. People would decorate their homes. Saturday night saw people come from far and wide to come and dance to boeremuziek. Guitars, concertinas and whistles, played by musicians such as Tolkien, Smit Loupsher on the concertina, and the Westhuizen brothers. Let me know in the comments if you remember those days. So there you go, Elandsbaai Hotel, at the heart of social life here in Elandsbaai. Back in the day, people worked hard and they would come here at the pub to have a drink after a long day out at sea. People had a tough existence, but the hotel here provided a bit of a social getaway from everyday life. I guess you can say Elandsbaai has a fairly limited commercial district, a limited business district. Very peaceful, and life does go slow here. Elandsbaai CBD, the central business district, consists of a hotel. You've got a liquor store here, Blue Bottle Liquor Express. You had a fuel station there. There's no fuel available at the moment, so presumably people from Elandsbaai need to travel to places such as Lambert's Bay, Lammersbaai. You've got the Elandsbaai Museum there, Elands Bay Museum. You've got a surf shop over there, Wit Mossel Pot. So the white mussel, by the way, you get in this part of the world. You don't get it in Lambert's Bay, which is not far from here, but the white mussel is very popular here in Elandsbaai. You've got some holiday homes here and on that side, and then you have the police station. My understanding is there wasn't a police station before 1992. They did have a truck or a caravan But yes, the police station here in Elandsbaai. Check this out. This artwork of a crayfish. Well, we are in the crayfish capital of South Africa. And here you have Elanda winkel. And also a liquor store. Winkel, drankwinkel. Next to the hotel on this side. Looks like you've got a clothing shop. And here you have Sonskyn Cafe. Now this is an iconic institution in Elandsbaai. Sonskyn Cafe has been here for donkey's years. Sonskyn Cafe has been here for a long time. There are no big shops, no chains, no Usave, no ShopRite, Checkers, none of those shops here in Elandsbaai. You've got cafes such as Sonskyn Cafe. Alright, let's go and check it out. Can I have a look? Okay, yes, thank you very much. So there you go, this is an institution in Elandsbaai, Sonskyn Cafe. And they've even got some tools and some clothes for sale here. Look at that, some Tupperware. Yes, beach stuff. This is beach country in South Africa. You've got a hat to protect yourself. Very interesting for a cafe to have clothes and other trinkets as well, but obviously then you've got food. Check this out, they even sell the hampers here for 520 rand. Yeah, quite a selection of stuff in there. And you've got bread. You've got baby stuff. And yeah, you can even buy some sluk and hake here. You've got some cleaning stuff, things for your engine. You have bath stuff, shampoos, conditioners. They've got absolutely everything you need in this shop. So I guess they have to be well stocked and they have to sell a lot of variety because there's no Usave, no ShopRite, no big chains in Elandsbaai. So that was it, Sonskyn Cafe in Elandsbaai. The commercial side of Elandsbaai is fairly limited. It's fairly small, but that's the way some people like it. You might think it's called Hunter Street, but no, it's Hunter. All the Scottish hunters became Afrikaans hunters. Dit is mos so meneer, nee. Daar sê. Daar sê. And in fact, the Hunter family, they've got a remarkable history here in Elandsbaai. It's a remarkable story. The patriarch, John Henderson Hunter, I guess you can call him Hunter because he was a Scotsman born in Hunterston, Scotland. Now legend says he was a shipwreck survivor. The ship he was on encountered some trouble somewhere along the west coast and he held on to a barrel. Holding on to a barrel, he was washed ashore and he stayed here in the west coast. He never returned to Scotland. Here in South Africa, he married a woman with a surname Visser and they had 4 children, 2 sons and 2 daughters. His 2 sons began their lives as fishermen in Elandsbaai. Willie, baptized William and later became known as Willie, and John, who was called Jan. So the Scottish hunters becoming Afrikaans hunters. The Hunter family here in Elandsbaai. A very interesting history. And yes, we're also entering the Elands Bay Caravan Park. And they do have some nice art here depicting some marine animals. And an interesting loo there. Look, they can't hold it in. They have to go now. Let's check out more of a caravan park here in Elandsbaai. You can see they've got the braai areas. They've got the standing areas. And I can almost smell the sunscreen from holiday makers coming here. A little bit of shade here. And you can see there, Elands Bay Caravan Park. And that's the hotel at the back there. And of course you have got a view of Bobbejaansberg, Baboon Mountain here, and the fantastic Atlantic Ocean. Well, if you're looking for fun and games, you can always come and have a little bit of a swing here and enjoy some more graffiti or art here on the walls. By the way, if you're interested in camping here at the caravan park, there are the prices. You can see 270 Rand, May to July, so out of season, and then the in season price there, August to April, 320 Rand. Yes, I've noticed some interesting art here on the fence. Wonder what what this is. Oh, we have demystified the mystery. Looks like the upper body of people. And I guess you can call this type of art eccentric. Maybe that's the word I'm looking for. Yeah, those beautiful left breaking waves there in Elandsbaai, or eBay as the locals call it. And let me just show you some more houses here. Not sure if these are holiday homes or homes for locals, but nonetheless, can you imagine living here? And I was going to say waking up to the beautiful ocean there, but waking up to barking dogs. Alright, let's check out more of the beauty of Elandsbaai. I've spotted a nice little path over there. And yes, I grew up in Lambert's Bay, not too far from here. We never really came to Elandsbaai. And I don't know if many people from Lambert's Bay actually came to Elandsbaai. It was mostly the other way around. People from Elandsbaai went to Lambert's Bay. I had a few people in my class who came from Elandsbaai. You don't often see a zebra or a zebra here along the west coast. But hey, this is Elandsbaai. Anything can happen. And you got a little bucky here, Shawza Lawza. The original buckies that the fishermen went out to sea with, they were made from wood, but this one you can see, one of the later ones made from fiberglass. And today though, it is a nice flower display. And you do have a coffee shop here, Kwaiki Maraiki. And here we go, I love this name here in Elandsbaai, Kwaiki Maraiki Coffee Shop. It's a really nice, quaint atmosphere here. Look at all the rusks, the biscuit, all the biscuits, the cookies there. If you've got a sweet tooth, you know where to come. And you've got some nice bags. Look there, leather handbags, small 300, large 350. Nice cake. And various other treats as well. Potato salad in a jar and some beetroot salad. Cowboy candy, what a name is that? Jalapeno, sugar, vinegar, garlic, other ingredients. Ah yes, we've got Elandsbaai in Elands Bay, and there you go, baboon sugar, straight from a mountain. Beware of the honey. Oh, but here you go, some tights as well on sale here. Packaged up. Very nice, authentic touch here. Ah, the Cook Sisters, classic South African as well. Very similar to the jalebi I had in India. And yeah, I've just ordered a takeaway cappuccino here. Need a little bit of a caffeine kick. And how nice is this? Catering for the Instagram generation. You've got a spot here where you can take your picture. Elandsbaai, Elands Bay. Just look how they beautified this particular garden. Lots of succulents here along the west coast, the vet planter. And what a beautiful shot there of Elandsbaai as well. You even have a little walking path here. Classic west coast art with the shells on a wire there. And you've got another bucky there, an old bucky. An initiative to try and keep Elandsbaai clean. You can see there. And it is a fairly clean town, I have to say. And another spot here, I love Elandsbaai. The sign has seen better days, but I can make it out, leaving nothing but your footprints on the beach. And here you go, another bucky. I love how they use these old rowing boats along the west coast for art. Alright, let's go into the museum. Free entry here. Cradle of human culture. This is a wonderful initiative here in Elandsbaai. You can read more about Baboon Point, also known as Cape de Sada in Portuguese. You've got more info on Verloren Vlei as well, 30 kilometers long, home to more than 180 bird species. And you can see the Crayfish factory over here, established in the 1950s but no longer in use. You can see there's some locals still try to make a living from the sea. Here we go, some locals here in Elandsbaai. Hello julle. Hoe gaan het? How's it? The history of fishing here in Elandsbaai can be summarized in 3 periods. The passasie, the cranes, and the slipway. This is the slipway, modern day Elandsbaai. The people use the slipway to go out to sea. There you can see some of the cranes that were used in the past to hoist the fishing boats. Elandsbaai never had a harbour in its existence. And in fact, instead of a harbour, the crayfish companies built jetties and hoisting equipment on Elandsbaai to facilitate the crayfish catch. This is one of the cranes that was used to hoist the boats up and down. Look at the state of it now. It's rusted state. Before the times of the jetties and the hoists, the old Elandsbaai fishermen accessed the sea through what they called the passasie or the passage.
En daai jaar het hulle nou by die passasie hulle het genoem, die passasie daar te lees gaan. Daar het hulle 'n kreef gaan vang uitgekom. Daar het hulle ook gaan gegaan om hulle se snoek te gaan vang en die ander visse wat hulle kon gevang het.
The passasie could really only be used during the periods of southern wind because of dangerous conditions here in Elandsbaai. During other times, brave and risk-taking fishermen would maneuver their boats in at Elandsbaai. This was extremely dangerous and some lives were lost, but the people had to feed themselves and their families. They had to take risks.
Oor die jare het Elandsbaai met ook begin ontwikkel. Toen het hulle begin 'n groot fabrieke opsit wat meer gerieflik is. Daar het ook oor die jare 'n slipway gekom waar mense nou afgaan met die bote om hulle se vangste te gaan vang.
3 periodes, soos eers die passasie en toe die cranes en toe die slipway.
Exactly.
Soos hy 3 daarso. I've already mentioned the Hunter family earlier as a prominent family in this part of the world. But you also have a lot of Engelbrechts and van der Westhuizens. In the 20th century, there were 2 families in particular who transformed the economy of Elandsbaai. 1, the Engelbrechts, 2, the van der Westhuizens. Willie Engelbrecht, I mentioned him at the hotel. He was the founder of Elandsbaai Hotel. He was also known as the father of Elandsbaai. By the late 1940s, he established Engelbrecht Trading Company. He acquired a fishing quota and he became very wealthy. The van der Westhuizen family also holds a notable place in Elandsbaai's history. In the early 1900s, a father and 2 sons arrived from a struggling farm near Aurora. Jacob van der Westhuizen and his sons Jaapie and Koos, known as Koos Jaap, were skilled craftsmen who initially built boats or the bakkies to make a living. And later on, Jaapie's 3 sons founded Elandia Fisheries, becoming major employers in Elandsbaai. So the Engelbrechts and the van der Westhuizens have made immense economic contributions to this part of the world. Before crayfish became profitable for the fishermen of Elandsbaai, they mainly caught snoek during the snoek season and also galjoen and harders. Back then, as is today, the snoek was caught with hand lines. Galjoen was sometimes caught the same way but usually netted. Galjoen is pretty rare today, but it was once caught in the mouth of a vlei at die punt and considered a delicacy by the locals. And then you also had the harders caught in the nets with large catches pulling right up onto the beach. During the crayfish boom of the 1950s and 1960s, many migrant workers from the Eastern Cape came here to Elandsbaai because there was a labour shortage. How ironic is this? In the 1930s, many people had to move away from Elandsbaai in search of job opportunities. And then the red gold all of a sudden transformed Elandsbaai. The red gold did wonders for the economy of Elandsbaai. But those workers from the Eastern Cape, obviously they had to be taught on how to set the nets and how to row the boats. And they actually did their training on verloren vlei. Many of those migrant workers in fact returned to Elandsbaai for several years in a row. I've heard some great accounts of friendships that were formed as a result of people coming from that part of the world to come and work here, and their contribution to the fishing industry here on the west coast cannot be understated. I believe there used to be an old radar station on top of Elandsbaai, and part of it later became a camp where a lot of the migrant workers lived, the migrant workers from the Eastern Cape. In fact, you can almost make an entire vlog just on Elandsbaai and how unique it is, the stories it has to tell, dipping its feet or its toes there in the water of the Atlantic Ocean. Just look at the unique design there, the Table Mountain of the West Coast. And then of course you have the sun cave paintings, you've got the history of the old radar station, and you've got the tunnel through which the Sishen Saldanha train goes. Elandsbaai, you are an icon of the West Coast, and a very underrated one at that. I salute you for your breathtaking aesthetic contribution and all your stories, the fantastic history. There's a couple of surfers getting ready for a little bit of an adventure, and check that out. There are a huge number of people carrying surfboards over there. Yeah, walking here in a place with so many stories, so much history. It's sometimes easy to forget the natural beauty of this part of the world. Just check out all the dried pieces of kelp that have ended up here as well. What a wonderful walk. Now you can see here lifeguards on duty and dangerous conditions. No swimming. So there you go. And what have they got here? Lots of young surfers posing for a picture, getting their Instagram updated. Hello, Yella. How's it? How's it? Oh, I think they're getting taught how to surf. Oh, fantastic. The next generation of surfers being developed here in South Africa. So what do you think of Elandsbaai? Elandsbaai here along the west coast of South Africa. Let me know in the comments. In addition, if you haven't done it yet, please press the like button and subscribe to this channel. I don't have a marketing team or a production team. I'm a one-man band with a GoPro. I do all the editing, all the filming, all the research myself, and it can get quite tricky. By pressing that like button and subscribing to the channel, that's the best way that you can support me, and it's free to do so. All right, let's have a walk down here and get an idea of how people live in Elandsbaai. Dag sê meneer. Gaan dit? Lekker, ek maak so YouTube. Wil jy opwees? Is hy? Wil jy ietsie sê? Is julle van Elandsbaai af? O, okay. Kom kuier julle hierso?
Ja, ons van Redlinghuis.
O, julle van Redlinghuis, so julle kom hierso, julle kom lekker see toe. Dis is nou maar mooi hierso, né? Daar is hy. Kyk nou hierdie mooi dag wat julle hierso het.
Dis 'n rapper.
Is dit 'n rapper? You want to rap for us?
Ek kan nie meer rap.
Yeah, but he's too shy. Oh yeah, we're gonna have an Elandsbaai rap here. Yes sir.
Hulle sê is 'n dankie. Dis 'n dankie. Ek is gevaarlik, ek is swaakie. Vra vir waakie, vra vir klaartjie, vra vir paatjie. Ek rap in Afrikaans. As ek rap in Afrikaans, dan wil ek dans. Dis die ganse dans.
Jy weet, duisende mense gaan nou hierdie kyk, né? Jy weet, jy's alright daarmee. Okay.
Ek ry 'n polo.
Jy ry 'n polo.
Ek is gebou soos polo.
Jy is sassy.
Alles wat ek doen dit solo. Kyk.
Hey, vat hom daarso. Vat hom daar my man. Dankie julle. Bye bye julle. Totsiens. Right. There we go. Some fun here in Elandsbaai. Some people from Redlinghuis. And of course, Redlinghuis is a small town not too far from here. I guess that's the other thing to mention, is many people from the area will come and visit Elandsbaai on weekends especially, or public holidays, and just have a slice of West Coast magic. And here you can see more houses. Check there, almal on board, everyone on board. And that is the motto here in Elandsbaai. Wonderful, picturesque part of the world. Elandsbaai can get really hot, and of course it's no surprise to see people dry their clothes outside. Don't let this seaside atmosphere fool you. It can get north of 30, 35 degrees sometimes here. Certainly in places like Redlinghuis, that is the case. So you will need to come and have a dip in the ocean here. The Atlantic Ocean, of course, is notorious for being icy cold. You will not see many people swimming in the water. Yes, today is a strong wind and they've warned you not to swim, but in general the water here is very cold. However, when I lived in Lambert's Bay, I used to love swimming in the ocean here. That's a great memory I have from Lambert's Bay. The cold water, I just love cold water. I don't know why. I just found the cold water of the Atlantic in this part of the world exhilarating. And today, I guess if it wasn't so dangerous, I would be minded to have a bit of a dip. Let's check out a bit of Boomstraat or Tree Street here in Elandsbaai. You can see a lot of plants here that love a dry climate. And yes, Elandsbaai is surprisingly dry. The west coast doesn't get a lot of rain. It's usually a winter rainfall area. But nowadays, with climate patterns the way they are, who knows? Just check the impressive landscape over there. That's all part of Bobbejansberg, of Baboon Mountain. I've noticed a lot of houses or plots in the area are quite spacious, and they often come with an upper area, an upper story, to hopefully get a nice view of the ocean. And check out the garden they've got here. They've even got an old bucky here, an old rowboat in the garden. And we are also approaching the train track. Yeah, there's actually people crossing the train track there. Not sure how safe that is, but anyway, well, if it was dangerous, there's no fence or other reinforcements. You can just come here to the train track. So there you go, the Sishen-Saldanha train track, an iconic part of a railway infrastructure in South Africa. This railway line has transported millions of tons of iron ore over the years, going to Saldanha in that direction. And next to the railroad you've got a dirt road. I think that might be the private road linking Lambert's Bay and Elandsbaai. You've got a sports field over there for rugby and football, and you've got an absolutely magnificent view from here. Elandsbaai at its best. And if you don't like railway lines and mountains, you've got a view of the ocean over there. More residences here. You can see the streets are quite narrow. Looks like they only cater for 1.5 vehicles at a time rather than 2. But nonetheless, this is a very relaxed west coast town. I guess they don't encourage a lot of traffic. They encourage the sound of birds instead. I can just about make out the South African flag and the flag of the South African Police Service in front there. So the CBD of Elandsbaai is never far away. Very, very small town. Talking about the police and CBD, I don't know how much crime there is in Elandsbaai or in the area. If you live in Elandsbaai or the surrounding areas, let me know how safe it is. As an outsider visiting here, it looks relatively safe. You can see no large fences or electric fences. Yes, you've got the local security guards, our canine friends. They can certainly make a lot of noise and act as a warning sign. Yeah, doesn't look like there's local security guards here. There are some animals having a good time here. Look at that. Dankie. Look at that. That's a baboon, and there's Bobbejansberg over there. So the baboon relaxing in its natural habitat. Dankie hoor. People, like anywhere else in South Africa, they love their gardens, and you've got a really nice west coast feel to this one. Wow, I have to say, this garden especially caught my eye here. They've done a lot of effort here. There's a little bit of symmetry as well that they've introduced. And here on the bottom, Elandsbaai, a very plant friendly place, that is for sure. I've also introduced some west coast elements here with the shells, seashells over there. And just look at the pop of color here in this one. Here's a canine friend that looks a little bit lost. Hello. Waar gaan jy? Weet jy waar om te gaan? I hope you'll be alright. Anyways, we've made it back to the CBD here in Elandsbaai. Right, let's see if we can go into the surf shop. Kijk maar so 'n bietjie kyk. Dankie. I'll say, waardeer hoor. Here we go, a classic surf shop on the west coast, but also a restaurant. Look at this, some protection for the head, and look at that, some iconic footwear as well for sale here. Oh, some rustic elements here, and some eccentric touches as well. What a beautiful setting. It's never too late for a new beginning in your life. Men to the left, because women are always right. And you've got a surfer having a good time there. Yeah, there you go. Popular activity in this part of the world for sure. There you go, some of the clothes for sale here. Kaalvoet, trots Afrikaans, barefoot. Yeah, lots of nice summer clothes here. Road tripping. If you're looking for a west coast road trip, include Elandsbaai on it. Kaalvoet avontuur. And on this side as well, see they got some jams, pickled onions and curried peaches. If you want to play some games at the beach, here you go. Some rackets, some balls. Yeah, a really nice shop here in Elandsbaai. Yes, almost every town in South Africa has got a liquor store. I am just surprised not to see a butcher in close proximity, because the people need a bit of dop and chop when they go to the braai. Anyways, let's check out more of a hotel here. Yeah, check here, they're warning you, no surfboards, no wetsuits. They want a clean hotel. And first impressions, it's very, very clean. Very nice experience here. Look at all the old maps. They've got some great information here about the area. Very useful maps as well. And yes, lots of crayfish in this part of the world, but when they do end up on the beach like this, it's an absolute tragedy. 7th of April 1997, and also in March 1968, you can see there, mass suicide on the west coast. So the red tide in this part of the world, an enemy of a crayfish and of people. And here we go, this is the restaurant area here. Actually, I had some breakfast earlier, let me show you some clips of that. Yes, I came to the hotel as an outside guest, so I've not paid to stay here, but it's 95 Rand for a buffet breakfast. You can see there's some cereal, yogurt, over there as well, some grain flakes, some watermelon, a selection of jams, and there's the toast. Got the bacon, egg there, potato, baked beans, and some tomato with cheese. Got some filter coffee here and hot water. And here outside, this is the view that you get. The caravan park here as well. Look at that, people setting up for a bit of a holiday atmosphere. People setting up for a good time. Look at the beautiful waves, beautiful blue sky. I've just spotted an old cocoa pan here in the hotel, and this is unusual because it's not mining country, Elandsbaai, but of course the Sishen-Saldanha railway line passes through here, so I don't know if this pays homage to that. Alright, let's check out Beach Bum Elandsbaai. That's it, hello, gaan het? Hi. I'm immediately greeted here by a surfboard. This is surfing country. Nice artwork on the wall. Yeah, liters and liters of Jägermeister have been consumed here, that's for sure. And some specialized South African shooters there, like melktertjies. Look at that, 15 Rand. There's some nautical art as well there, old lamps, some bones there, some dream catchers for sale, and you've got maybe some magnets, and I guess some unique seating areas as well here. Yeah, some really nice places to come and relax here in Elandsbaai, that is for sure. Hallo, ek is Willie.
Dat is hy die wat hier staan.
Daar is hy.
Hier staan
Dis ook 'n Willie. Willie meeting Willie hier in Elandsbaai.
Dis hy die.
Dankie meneer. Hoe voel dit om hier te woon?
Nee, wonderlik om hier te woon.
Is dit?
Lieflik, wonderlik, is 'n lieflike plek.
'n lewe by die see.
Lewe by die see, dis al wat ons het hier. So ons is maar bestaan, ons is al die jare uit die see.
Ja.
So dit daar by die passage van ons, skei daar aan ons, op die water meer gesleep ons praat.
So hier's 'n groot geskiedenis eintlik van visvang.
Baie groot geskiedenis.
Ja, en hier was nooit 'n hawe nie.
Was nooit 'n hawe nie.
Ek het nog die een kruin gesien daarso. Is dit die enigste een wat hulle gehou het?
Die enigste een daai.
Ja.
Dat was die kruin. Hy het dit nog gebruik geraak.
Ek sien.
So die steel ze maar aangegaan, later dan tot hulle die slip ontwikkel.
Dat hulle die slipway hierso.
Ja.
Okay.
Met die slipway, toe dinge weer 'n bietjie gemaklik gewerk.
Ek sien. Ja.
Maar die gevissersmens historie hierso, geskiedenis is baie groot.
Yes manne, wat maak julle?
Dit maintenance op die
Maintenance.
voertuig wat elke aand, elke dag, hier vanaf tot binne die Kaap lughawe daar.
Gaan jy lughawe toe elke dag?
Elke nag.
O, elke nag.
Elke aand export hulle ons een van 2 ton en gaan nou weer China toe bring.
Wat vat julle krewe?
Dis net vir krewe.
My jene.
Dis nou hoe die klein visserman nou.
Ja.
Hulle krewe in die fabriek moet verkoop.
Yes.
Die geld te kry. Die fabriek het in die fabriek verkoop weer.
Ek sien.
Waar ook hulle dit verkoop.
So they're telling me that this vehicle here makes regular trips to the airport. In fact, every night they're exporting crayfish. So ja, dankie julle en sterkte met die maintenance man. Daar sê, lekker dag vir julle.
Ek wil eens die tyd met onze vissen hier gebleven was, die vis was baie goed.
Ja.
Maar soos die tyd gegaan het met ons proubel woon,
Ja.
dat die vis net begin eksteer.
Ek dink hier's minder vis nou hierso in Elandsbaai.
Kom ons sê, ons snoepseisoen is nie op gewonnen sien.
Ja.
Ons vang gewoonlik maar aan en ons so 3 maanden, nog nie minder 3 maanden snoep.
Ja,
Ja, so gewoonlik al so 6 maanden, 8 maanden snoep gevangen.
ek sien. Ja. Ja.
Want dit is dieselfde, die Cape
Ja.
hy is dieselfde. Vang hom gewoonlik so, maar nou vir 'n tyd afgelope 3 maanden het ons niks gekry nie.
En is hier nog baie kreef in Elandsbaai?
goed.
Die kreef is goed.
Daar is nie 'n verskil van die kreef. Hulle sê ons gewoonlik navorsing sê hulle die kreef nie.
Ja,
Maar ons, wat die actieve visserman van die kreef,
dis hy.
en die see ken,
Ja.
ons weet precies
Ja.
waar die kreef sit.
Dis hy.
En die tye wanneer die kreef inkom en die tye wanneer die kreef uitgaan.
Nou.
So ons kan nie sê ons het die kreef.
Dis hy.
As jy teruggaan in die geskiedenis en jy sien so die uitloop van die kreef word tonne
Ja.
mate uitgeloop. En
Ek het
ons-
gesien in 2022 was daar die groot rooi gety, né?
Precies.
Ja.
Ja. Klomp tonne mate uitloop.
Oh Willie, dit was nou 'n groot voorreg my ou maar. Ek waardeer dit. Alles van die beste vir julle hier in Elandsbaai. En ek wens vir julle alle sterkte toe, hoor jy?
Baie dankie.
Daar sê. Nou mooi gaan, dankie.
Sophia Martin.
Hallo mevrou.
Ek behoort aan Elandsbaai Klein Begin Koöperasie. Ek is die sekretaresse van die koöperasie. Ek is die vrou wat die boeke doen en al dies meer. En ek is ook die persoon wat kyk na ons mense se welstand om te sien hoe dat ons mense se lewens vorentoe gaan en nie agteruit gaan.
Dis wonderlik mevrou. Baie dankie.
Ek wil sê ek dink daai jare was baie beter jare as wat dit nou is.
Regtig?
Daai jare kon jy eintlik met jou vangste gemaak het. Nie dat ek sê dat wat jy wil nie, maar daar wat jy het gesien wat jy verdien. Nie meer nie. Omrede departement as nou deel van alles
Ek sien.
in hierdie lewe. Hy is deel van jou kreef, hy is deel van jou vis, hy is deel van alles. Jy kan nie vir hom verbykom nie. En met die gevolg is ons mense, ek sê ons mense krepeer meer as wat ons mense kon geleef het in die verlede as wat dit nou is. Want alles is nou beperk.
Was daar meer vis ook destyds of is dit nou
Die mense het meer, die mense het gelewe. Daai tyd was daar mos nie die geld is ons om noem, dit was die singers, die shilling, die sixpence en die pond. Dit was die geld wat die mense daai jare verdien het.
Ek
Dit
sien.
was geld wat jy kon van geleef het.
Ja.
Nie meer nie, nou is dit mos die rande.
ja,
En met die gevolg is, jy kry nou daai geld. Maar as jy by die winkel kom, dan het hy ook maar nie waarde
Ek
vir
sien.
jou nie. En met die gevolg is, vir ons mense, soos ek gesê, departement, sny dit daar alles so op, alles is daar beperking. Haar beperking op die kreef, jy kry net 'n sekere
hoeveelheid met die quota. Ja.
Exactly, jy kry 'n sekere hoeveelheid vis wat jy mag vang. Met die gevolg is, ek kan nie oorboord gaan nie.
Ja.
Ek kan nie vang soos ek wil nie.
Dis reg.
Ek moet vang wat vir my gesê word op die permit
Ja.
wat ek kan vang. Jy kry nou 'n permit om see toe te gaan. Jy kan nie sonder 'n permit see toe gaan nie.
Ek sien.
Dan gaan ek nou sonder 'n permit, dan word ek gevang en dan word ek geskryf.
Ek sien.
Want ek is onwettig. So met alles dit wat jy nou doen, moet jy deesdae 'n bewys hê wat die departement jou gee. Jy moet kan bewys dit is wat hulle my gegee het en dit is wat ek nou kan vang. Dit is wat ek nou op my boot mag hê en dit is nou waarvan ek
Alles word gereguleer. Ja.
Exactly.
This is both fascinating and very sad. I'm walking here to the old school in Elandsbaai and Verlorenvlei. This is where the kids of a region would come and get their education. And today it is an abandoned site. Today it is but a shadow of its former self. It's got graffiti and it is beyond a state of repair. But if this building could talk, I'm sure it would have lots of tales to tell. This school was built before the crayfish boom, completed in 1949. I believe a certain teacher, Mr. Gert Steenkamp, from the 1950s, is still well remembered in this part of the world. If you do remember your school years in Elandsbaai in those years, let me know in the comments. Yeah, you can see it's not a particularly big facility. Not sure how many kids would have gone to school here. This looks like it could have been a classroom. And now there's just nothing but some incomplete art. A lady who went to school here in the 1950s recalls how they would walk here barefoot from Elandsbaai and from Verlorenvlei. She would stop on her way to school or from school at someone's house who had a coal fire just to warm her feet in winter. The same woman also remembers how her mother would bake bread in an outside oven, make soap on a campfire, and how they would go to a nearby quarry or a clay pit at the vlei to fetch clay in buckets to plaster the reed hut that they lived in and seal it. She also remembers how Koos Jaap van der Westhuizen, who was a shoemaker in Elandsbaai, once made a pair of shoes for her and her school friend to wear. However, they didn't want to wear the shoes because the other children didn't have shoes. So they didn't want the other kids to feel bad. Nowadays, kids want to show off their latest shoes and their latest clothes, their latest phones. Can you imagine declining shoes back in the day because you'd feel bad for your friends? That tells you a lot about society in some way, doesn't it? I can just imagine during breaks, kids would go up to the mountain and play. Or they would sit here and have a view of a majestic Verlorenvlei. Guess it's fair to say times have changed. I said this was not a very big school, but you can see some more buildings and facilities over here. So I wonder what this school looked like in its pomp, in its absolute prime. Every empty building tells its own story about the history of Elandsbaai, I'm sure. The fishing industry went through various stages as well. I'm thinking of a passasie, and yes, the cranes. Now you have a slipway. Yes, it might have seen better days, but I'm so glad that they've kept this here as a reminder of the past. Today it no longer serves a commercial purpose, but certainly back in the day it played its part in the history of Elandsbaai. Can you imagine all the planning, all the innovation, all the blood, sweat and tears, all the concrete, all the building materials, everything that was needed to make the fishing industry, the crayfish industry, a success here in Elandsbaai. All the bespoke solutions people needed here in the absence of a harbour in order to get some food on the table for Elandsbaai. Walking around Elandsbaai now, I can't help to think what it would have looked like during the initial crayfish boom, 1950s, 1960s, around that time. All the excitement, the new beginning. People must have been so optimistic, so glass half full. They've always had a magnificent view here in Elandsbaai. There are still people today who don't have the economic opportunities they deserve, and I'm wishing them all the best. This West Coast gem at the foot of the Bobbejansberg, a surfing hotspot, the crayfish capital of South Africa. You've got so much history, so many wonderful stories to tell. My wish is for this gem on the west coast, this magnificent surfing town in South Africa, to have a prosperous future, and for people of all strata of society to share in its riches. If you haven't done it yet, please press the like button, subscribe to the channel, and leave a comment for me in the comment section. I'd love to hear what you thought of Elandsbaai. For now, I just want to say again, thanks for watching my videos, and I will see you in the next one. Cheers, take it easy.